The following is a production of cprundown.com. The views and opinions expressed by the host of this podcast are those of the individual and not of any affiliated companies. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rundown on Fun, a weekly podcast covering the Cedar Fair Entertainment Company, the amusement industry, and the business of fun. Here are your hosts, Karsten Anderson, Evan Schultz, and Kyle Hu.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Rundown on Fun, a weekly podcast where we cover Cedar Fair, Cedar Point, and everything to do with fun. Yeah, and welcome back. We're back for another episode.
Yeah, it looks
like a month since I've been here.
I was like, hey, we finally got Evan back. We were like, Evan, you finally stopped moving. Please come record with us, please.
Yeah, I stopped moving, but the house is still not done.
That's why we didn't have an episode last week, because...
I didn't have internet, so kind of hard to record.
A little hard.
Kinda hard.
We did that one time when you didn't have any internet, but that was just kind of rough.
Yeah, well, see, when we did that, we used all my hotspot data, so I couldn't even do that.
Yeah. But
anyways,
you know what? That's all right. It's all good.
We're here. What are we talking about this week, Kyle?
This week? Well, first up on the list, we have Top Thrill 2, and I think Carson's going to tell us some more about that.
I've actually got some breaking news, like literally breaking news that everyone is going to want to know. Okay. I know you guys, I haven't told you guys or anything. I just got back from the park, and guess what? The cow's gone. The cow is gone. The cow from the Toff's ice cream parlor in the front by Raptor is gone. That's the breaking news. It's gone. It is. I mean, it was gone before, but there used to be like a little fence around there and everything. Well, now there's just a nice, pretty concrete pad that the cow used to sit where the grass was, and that's gone. So
he's not just gone. He's gone.
He's gone. So I'm curious to see if I don't know if Toff's is completely gone from the park, or we don't know what's going on with that. But
I noticed Toff's was actually open on Saturday night, or whatever it's called now. So I don't know what they were serving in there, if it was Blue Bunny or Toff's or Hershey or
ice cream
or what.
But I'm just like, so did Toff's Toff's didn't sign the contract, so they took back their cow. They're like, our cow, goodbye.
So now we got to go visit the Sandusky Toss and do some investigation.
Right.
Investigation.
Yeah. And you know what? If Toff's is gone from the park completely, I'm super sad about that, because I love Toff's. There's just, I don't know, their ice cream hits different with me a little bit. I like their play on the themes and things like that. With the different rides and, and everything. And my favorite one is the Valraven. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the Valraven ice cream. That one was probably one of my best ones. But
they had a Rougarou one.
They had a Millennium Force one.
What?
They did. Mm-hmm.
I only remember the Rougarou and the Valraven.
The only reason I can remember that is one of our friends. He rides Millennium Force a lot. I won't say his name on here in case he doesn't want to be mentioned. Evan, you'll know. I'll say after the show. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And he was saying, he's like, I always buy that Millennium Force one, because he actually got pictured. They took his picture, not like him specifically, but he was on the train that they used for the promotional for the Millennium Force. So I don't know if they still have the Millennium Force one anymore.
I've never heard of or seen that, so probably not.
Yeah. So, anyways, sad about that. But anyway, yeah. So jumping on to Top Thrill 2 news, there's not really any news. I thought it'd be kind of exciting to say breaking news with that Toff story, because I mean that is kind of breaking news per se.
Listening to this, so many people were like, he was going to talk about Top Thrill 2 breaking news. What's he going to say? Yeah. Oh my God, it's about to open.
I would say the park and Zamperla are definitely working on it. They're not just sitting on their hands. And we haven't really heard any whispers or anything, obviously, from the official statement from the park, what they put out and everything. I'm curious within the next few days or so, maybe we'll get an update possibly from the park or something.
You know what? Next week's Top Thrill Tuesdays is going to be a doozy.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of speculation, and we're not going to get into the speculation or anything. I'm just going to say what I've seen at the park. pretty much they've closed off the grandstands. You can't go on the top of the grandstands right now. They also put a black tarp on the fence that's close to the transfer track, so you can't see the underhang or anything below what they're working on and what's going on or anything with the trains and stuff and everything. So I did ride Power Tower, and I did see some wheels that were scattered around on the ground and stuff. So I don't know if it's because the
wheels, drive tires, we don't know. It's circular objects.
Yeah,
circular objects scattered around.
Fair, yeah. It could be, something from above. So,
everything you hear and see on the internet, it's all hearsay. Nobody actually besides the park knows what's going on.
Right. The park in Zamperla knows what's going on, and they've got it well. And you know what? They're going to get this right up as soon as they possibly can, as soon as it's safe to do so. Which I was talking to Justin here. I love that the fact that they are literally like, I know that this sucks that it closed down, but it's nice that they're literally, and they do this with all the rides and things like that, but they're take a fine-tooth comb and just make sure everything is running right, everything's looking okay, and so on and so forth. And they do that with all the other coasters and things like that, and rides and everything. But it's just nice to see like firsthand of like, you know what, this is our brand new marquee attraction, but we're gonna have to pull it down just to be safe, and and safety, like they say, safety is their number one priority, and it definitely shows. So
they put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah. So, other than that, I went into the gift shop and I haven't really seen a whole lot of anything new. I know that they had the new limited edition, like Top Thrill 2 Eats kind of thing. And that's kind of like been paused, I believe, and everything. So once that returns, we will talk about the donut that I was able to eat and everything. That you would see that on our Facebook page, all the pictures and stuff. But anyway, speaking of food, Evan and I were able. Hey, thank you. Evan and I were able to go to the farmhouse on one of the days last weekend, and we got to try the pot pie that everybody's been raving about. You want to give a little more detail about that?
So really quick, Saturday was like one of the busiest early season days I've seen in my entire life. Like that was absolutely beyond nuts. Yeah. Good for the park, but like it felt like a haunt Saturday. It was kind of scary.
Especially in the beginning of like May, you don't see that.
Like that was the busiest I've seen it this early until July. Yeah, exactly. But anyways, good for the park. So yeah, I tried like, the new hotness, right, at Farmhouse. And because we didn't even really know that chicken pot pie was going to be something that was new this year. Actually, Carson, you and I were waiting in line for Farmhouse on opening day, and one of our friends came up to him and was like, "Oh my goodness, this pot pie, it's so good. It's amazing." And we were like, well, we want our steak, so we're not going to get the pot pie. Mm-hmm. So Saturday was like a really weird weather day. It was like foggy or smoky or whatever the heck it was. Really cool pictures, by the way. Check out the Facebook page. So it was like, it was a nice day to go to Farmhouse and maybe get their chili or try their chicken pot pie, because it's brand new and everybody's been raving about it. And so I got it. Did anybody else at our table actually like get the pot pie?
I think it was just you and I.
But you got like kind of the end of the batch. So I got the fresh batch, and everybody at the table tried mine, and my girlfriend loved it, and then Justin tried it, and he was, we'll just say, head over heels about it. And so then I got to try it. And
if anybody sees Justin in the park, we can't say it on air.
Just ask him what he thinks about the chicken pot pie.
There you go. Perfect.
But yeah, I cleaned my plate. I'll put it that way. It was so good. It was a really good portion. They give you, it's basically just chicken pot pie filling that they pour over a biscuit. But then they give you a second biscuit too. So you get 2 biscuits and your side dish. It was super, super good. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of pot pie like in the world, but like, so take this for what it's worth, but like it's definitely the best chicken pot pie I've ever had. I mean, again, it's just the filling. It's not a pie. It's chicken pot pie soup with a biscuit in it. That's what it is. But it's really, really good. Super good for a cold day. I'm saying this as I'm recording in my house that doesn't have AC running currently because it's broke and it's 90 degrees out, but really good for a cold day. I definitely I'm looking forward to Halloween weekends now because I don't want to get this during the summer, too warm, but looking forward to Halloween weekends and when it will really, really, really hit the spot. And their broccoli cheese casserole, as I've been raving since Winter Chill Out, got that as well. I've gotten that twice already this year, and it's fantastic, just like it was a Chill Out. So that's my I guess that's my opening day report since I wasn't here for the last episode. Park looks great. Love the park. It's gonna be a great season. There you go. And Kyle's kind of got his opening day coming up, right? Well, for Cedar Point at least.
Yeah, I think we got some breaking news there.
I think he's a little excited.
Yeah, I think honestly this is the biggest news of the year. I don't care if Top Thrill 2 opened. I don't care if the chicken pot pie at Farmhouse is really good. The biggest news story of the year is that I will be at CoasterMania this year. I am so excited. I've not been to a CoasterMania since before the pandemic. I'll put it that way.
I don't even remember you being at CoasterMania in the last couple of years when you still lived here.
So I went in 2019. And then obviously 2020, I went from when it used to be, I'll just say 2014 to 2019, all of those years. And then obviously it didn't happen in 2020 because of the pandemic. And then in 2021, I worked at the park.
That's right.
So I was at CoasterMania, but I didn't participate in CoasterMania.
Right.
And then I didn't do it in 2022 because that was my last summer in Ohio before I moved to Florida, and I was trying to bang out all this stuff that I normally did, so I was just busy that day. So honestly, the last time I went to a CoasterMania was in 2019, and
welcome back.
I know I
they
can't
don't give out
wait.
Shirts anymore. They give out made to throw posters.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't wear the shirt. I'd rather have a poster.
Yes.
Normally,
I'd pay the $50 just for the poster.
Yeah, normally
I want a poster and a shirt. Sorry.
Normally, our friendly neighborhood announcer Justin just sends me his poster, but doesn't have to this year.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Oh my god, I'm so excited! It'll be my first trip to the park. I'm not even really counting last year as a trip to the park. I went one
quick visit.
I went one day last year. And it was early season when the park was open from 10 to 8, and I didn't get to the park till noon. So I had 8 hours. That's all I had there last season. So
yeah.
And I'm gonna have.
So needless to say, you're gonna be there bright and early on CoasterMania.
I am gonna be there bright and early, and then I'm staying at Hotel Breakers. I haven't done that in 10 years.
Yes.
Awesome. So I'm gonna go to the park bright and early Saturday. And
party at Kyle's room at Hotel Breakers.
Yeah. And then I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to come back to Florida for a month, and then I'm going to come back in July. So, oh my God, I'm so excited. So, let's talk about it, shall we? CoasterMania?
Yes.
The itinerary? All right.
So, I don't think there's any stopping you anyway, so.
So, I was going to say, real quick, while we were on a little break, the tickets went on sale, and they sold out within hours.
Oh, yeah, by the way.
So, you can't buy a ticket unfortunately now, so they're sold out.
But if you bought a ticket and you have no idea what you're getting into,
you want to stay tuned to this because Kyle's got the whole entire quote unquote rundown.
I know.
Ding.
And
Jesus.
A week ago, I wasn't even considering going to CoasterMania. It just came on sale. There was, when did they go on sale? Thursday?
Something like that.
Something. Yeah. It was literally 4:00 in the afternoon, and Tony tweets CoasterMania tickets are on sale.
And then
drop my phone.
Yeah, and then you texted me. You're like, CoasterMania tickets are on sale. Buy them, buy them. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna buy one. I was like, if I don't go, I'll try to sell it, and if I can't sell it, I'm out $50, whatever. Yep. But I'm gonna try to go. And then the weekend happened, and I was like, oh man, there's no way I'm gonna get to go. I'm not gonna be able to get the time off work. It's I'm too busy. It's just not going to happen. And then I went in on Monday, and I talked to my manager, and I was like, hey, I'm hoping to go to this. And they're like, oh, yeah, go. I don't care. I was like, oh.
Really?
Yeah.
You were like all prepared to say like, okay, I guess I won't.
No, like I even started the conversation because I'm very, very busy at work and I'm on a very small team. So like I went in, I was like, hey, I'm gonna try to take this day off, but I understand that it's probably not gonna happen, like given some circumstances that like of what's going on. But just so you know, like I'm gonna try, and they were like, just do it. Like who cares? Go. I was like, hell yeah.
Sign me up.
Sign me up.
He's like, gotta buy my ticket, or my plane ticket.
So that was over the weekend, and then I bought plane tickets last night. So if anyone happens to be at the Detroit Metropolitan Airport on Thursday, June 6th at about 10:45 p.m., you might get to watch my plane come in from sunny Florida.
Go give Kyle a nice big bear hug.
Yeah, please.
Then, are you driving straight to Cedar Point from there, or?
So I'm gonna go crash at my parents' house in Tiffin, which is like 45 minutes away, or from the park. It's about 2 hours, an hour and a half to 2 hours from Detroit. So I'm gonna land at like 11 p.m. and then I'm gonna get in the car and I'm gonna go back to Tiffin and I'm gonna get like 3 hours of sleep and I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna all day CoasterMania. And then stumble back to breakers and pass out, and then get up in the morning and probably do like a half day at the park.
There you go.
And by the way, CoasterMania is an 18-hour day.
Yes, it is.
Big day.
Listen, you're from Florida now. Yeah. You'll be fine.
All right, let's talk about this 18-hour day, shall we?
Do it.
Yes.
All right.
Let's do it.
So the very first thing on the itinerary is at 6:30 a.m., and that is check-in. Check-in will be available at the Magnum XL 200 gate only, which is a change because I remember when I used to go to CoasterMania, it was only at the front gate. So now they're changing it to the Magnum gate.
Smart.
Yep, smart. 7 a.m., the Magnum gate will open. It will open for CoasterMania guests, and no other guests and no other gates will be open at that time. And then, kicking off for the first event of the day is exclusive ride time on Millennium Force from 7:30 until 9 a.m.
Woohoo! Hello.
I was
Millennium Force in the morning.
Early morning Millennium rides are the best.
Yeah,
I would agree.
That'll wake me up.
Obviously night rides are nice, but
All right. So next up is 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m., which is exclusive ride time on Magnum XL 200. And given the situation at the time, Top Thrill 2, a little disclaimer that Top Thrill 2 is currently closed and the park cannot confirm a reopening date. A substitution will be made in the event that Top Thrill 2 is not open for CoasterMania.
So cross your fingers and hope for the best.
What are we?
They're going to be like, guess what? Pipe scream.
Yeah, like honestly, what are we hoping for if it's not Top Thrill 2?
Well, you got Millennium, so I don't know unless you can't really open up Steel Vengeance because
no, that's not going to happen.
That just has a lot of maintenance in the morning.
I'm going to say honestly, Rougarou is the only ride that's not on ERT, I think. Like Rougarou and Iron Dragon, it'll probably be one of those two. Yeah. I'm hoping for a Maverick.
I was going to say maybe Maverick. They can be like, hey.
But keep in mind, Maverick is also open at night for ERT. So
I'd be okay with Gemini.
Okay, I would too.
I would take Gemini.
I would too.
All right.
I was thinking Gemini's at nighttime ERT. Is it not?
Well, I don't know. We're gonna find out. So let's move on.
Okay.
So next up is from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and that is ERT on Raptor and Valraven.
I like that. Remember that Tony had a poll on Twitter, and it was between Raptor, Valraven, and was it Blue Streak and whatever? What do you want ERT on or something? And like which one was going to be the top one that was going to get it? And then Raptor and Valraven. It was pretty much a tie. But that's cool that both of those made that. So it makes sense though too, because they're in like the same-ish area. So why not?
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. So next up is from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., and that is the souvenir distribution. So you can pick up your commemorative 2024 CoasterMania pin and the event-exclusive made-to-throw poster at underneath Corkscrew near the exit of Power Tower from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m.
That CoasterMania poster is something else.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, right. I mean, Made to Thrill does really good work. So
it's anything like last year's, which I'm looking at right now. It's gorgeous.
I was going to say real quick, tickets were $50. And I know we had a bunch of people in the comments being like, "Oh, $50. That's just too much for the event." I'm like, how is it too much for the event? First of all, you're getting a Made to Thrill poster, which is probably like around $50 or so if they wanted to sell it. Second of all, you've got a pin, which could be at least $10 or $15. Mm-hmm. Third of all, you've also got a meal. Fourth of all, you've got a cruise around the park. Like,
yeah, even without the ERT, this is worth it.
Right. So you're already. I mean, like they should have charged. I mean, $75, $80.
Hey, stop talking. Don't give them ideas. Stop talking. Karsten, shut up. Kyle, continue.
Okay. So next up is from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and that is the CoasterMania cruise, and that will take place sporadically. I'm totally gonna have to edit this out because I just completely lost my train of thought. So I'm gonna restart. Give me like 2 seconds. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right, so next up is from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m., and that is the CoasterMania cruise, which will take place depending on what time you get on your ticket when you check into the event in the morning. But that is aboard the, Good Time 2 from the Jet Express. And it
doesn't say. So no. Sometimes it's been the Jet Express and sometimes it's been the Good Time 2. I think last year maybe was the Good Times.
It was the Good Time because there was a bar on board.
Seems to be. I don't know.
And it was a little, I mean this lovingly, it was a little janky. A little janky. Good Time is definitely an old timer thing.
Right. But I don't know. I think I like it when it's on the Good Time just because it takes a little longer to go around the peninsula.
And and that's honestly a nice like rest in the middle of the day.
Yeah, it's a good probably 45 to 50 minutes just doing their thing, and then by the time you get back there, the next tour group's ready to go. So
yep.
And we got to get pictures this year because of the spike and yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
There's some years where nothing in the skyline changes, so I'm just like, I'm gonna sit here and relax. I'm not gonna take any pictures.
Wow.
And then
I wish I could live on that boat.
Listen, Mr. President.
Yeah, I mean, I've only got 27,000 photos on my phone, so sorry.
All right. Kyle, what's next?
Next up is from 1 p.m. until 3 p.m., and that is a special access photo opportunity in the Top Thrill 2 infield. That is continuous. You can show up anytime between 1 and 3, and you enter near the Top Thrill 2 locker redemption path.
That'll be cool.
That'll be really cool. Can't wait for that. Hopefully the ride will be open.
It's running.
Like pictures of the train going, whatever. But that's cool that like we didn't even get to do that during Media Day, so that'll be really cool to get pictures like that for sure. And maybe it'll be calendar worthy. Take some everybody whoever's going to CoasterMania, take some cool pics, and then submit them to us later in the fall to possibly be in our calendar.
I know I'm going to try that.
Hey, there you go.
All right. Moving on from 5:30 to 7, and that is dinner in the Lakeside Pavilion. They have not released a menu for that yet, but dinner will take place from 5:30 to 7 at the Lakeside Pavilion.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
All right. Next up is 7 to 8 p.m., and that is a Q&A session, and it's a conversation and Q&A about Top Thrill 2 featuring Mike Maney, VP of Maintenance and Construction. That will take place at the Lakeside Convention Center, and you can enter through the Lakeside Pavilion.
Well, that'll be really...
Excuse me, why isn't Top Thrill 2 open?
I was going to say, that'll be a really hot button topic. I'm sure first off, they'll be like, first of all, we're not going to answer anything about its downtime, but if anybody has any questions about the ride, feel free.
Yeah. Let's just put a little star next to that one for now.
Or just be like, well, you know what? It's actually, we're just going to just answer, hey, you know what? That's actually really the first time that we knew about Top Thrill 2 per se. Like they gave us the keychains last year and stuff and everything, and we were all wondering like what that was. So I'm curious. I know that that on X or whatever, or on Twitter or whatever, like Tony said that, there's supposedly a signed contract for next year's whatever happening. So I wonder if they'll give us a little tease of something there. You never know.
Listen, anytime Tony talks in a public environment, just listen, because he's gonna drop a little something. So
never know. Yeah, you never know.
All right. So at this point in the day, it's past 8 p.m. Everybody's tired. Everybody's hot. But you just had a really nice dinner, and you got to sit inside and have a Q&A session for an hour. So now's when the fun really starts. Right? Yeah. This is the good part of the day. This is why you come to CoasterMania. And that is exclusive ride time from 10 to 11 on Wilderness Run and Woodstock Express.
Yes. This is why I'm here.
Plus Gemini. Yeah. Plus Gemini. From 10 to 11.
Okay, I will actually ride Gemini during that time.
To be fair though, some people that might, visit the park need to get that coaster credit, and they don't have a kid to ride with them. So there you go. At least you get an opportunity to ride Wilderness Run.
I'm not knocking.
Have the longest line.
Yeah, I'm not knocking ERT on Wilderness Run and Woodstock Express in the slightest. I think that's really cool that they're opening the kiddie coasters.
Yeah. For sure. Obviously, being that I grew up at Cedar Point, I have those credits. But my girlfriend during CoasterCon a couple of years ago, we were in that line for Wilderness Run because she needed that credit, and there was zero shame.
Yeah.
So to answer your question from earlier, it does seem like Gemini does have ERT, and it's included in that 10 to 11 time slot.
That'll be fun.
So it's going to be Rougarou. It's going to be Rougarou to replace Top Thrill.
All right. And then
or Maverick.
And then to round out the wonderful CoasterMania day from 10:45-ish, and I'm not making this up. It actually says 10:45-ish on the itinerary to 12:30 a.m. That is exclusive ride time on Steel Vengeance and Maverick. So for those of you,
my thighs hurt already.
Oh yeah,
I'm pumped. That's a lot of time on Steel Vengeance and obviously Maverick too. But wow.
And for those of you who've been playing along at home, you can show up for CoasterMania starting at 6:30 a.m. and you don't have to leave until after 12:30 a.m. the following day.
Yeah,
18 hours.
That's going to be Kyle.
I'll be there.
6:30 a.m. He's bringing donuts.
I am going to get belligerently drunk in the Grand Pavilion after dinner. That's going to be my
ride the wild mouse.
that is going to be my it's hot. I'm tired. I want to go. I'm just going to sit in the Grand Pavilion and drink.
And just be like, well, I guess I'm going to have more to drink.
Also,
hey, you could try out the new Top Thrill 2 beer. Even if you don't get to ride it, you could try the beer.
Speaking of Wild Mouse, it seems a little odd to me that Wild Mouse is not on any form of ERT.
Yeah, there's our Top Thrill replacement. That's it.
Honestly.
That's going to be it.
That could
because Raptor and Valraven are open. Gatekeeper opens for early entry. Why the hell not?
One Zamperla to another.
There you go.
I do want to, Kyle, I don't think you said this in the beginning. Check-in is from 6:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. If you don't make it at 10 a.m., you can't, in years past, you're out. You're out. You can't check in after.
Because I was looking into this today for my own reasons, actually. If you can't get there in that time block and check in for you and a friend that's going to show up at 2:00. No.
Yep.
You have to check yourself in, and you have to be there between 6:30 and 10.
So that being said, can we all three arrange to go through at the same time so we get the same cruise?
Yes.
Okay.
You really want to get there at 6:30?
I'll be there because I'm staying overnight. I'll be there.
You don't want to get there at 6:30, Mr. Cedar Point?
I mean, I was going to roll in at 6:40. I mean
that's
to be
that's
fair,
fine.
18 hours with each other.
No.
I will be there at 5:30 with bells and whistles on, with Dunkin' Donuts in the car.
I don't care if we go through at 6:30 or if we go through at 7:30, but I want to go through at the same time so we get the same cruise.
Well, if that's the case, I mean, we can just show up at 8:30 and,
Well, no, because I want...
That's not going to happen.
No, I want ERT.
I will see you there at 6:15, all right?
Yeah.
I was going to say, though, I don't... Not. I mean, it just depends, I guess, on, how they give out the tickets, the later you check in, the later your cruise is, and then the later you get to like.
Yeah, the later you checked in, as in you miss all of morning ERT.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Don't listen to me. Everybody go at 6:30. It's freaking fun. I'm just being a Debbie
not
Downer.
everybody. Just screw everybody else. I want ERT to ourselves.
I would like to talk to our listeners right now for a second, and I would like to plead everybody. I am working a full day on Thursday, like a literal full day, and I am leaving work in my normal time, and I'm driving to the airport, and I'm flying to Detroit, Michigan. I don't land in Detroit until around 11 p.m. And then I have to go home to my parents' house, to which I'm not going to get home until about 1 a.m. And then I'm not going to be able to go to bed right at 1 because I got to unpack and everything. And then my parents live about 45 minutes away from Cedar Point, which means if I want to get there at 6:30, I have to leave my house by like 5:45. So I'm going to be running an 18-hour Cedar Point day on about 3 hours of sleep. So if you enjoy this podcast and you really like what we do, we're not going to ask you for money on Patreon like all these other podcasts.
Not yet.
We're not yet anyway. Not yet. We're not going to ask you to pay to listen to our content. All we're going to ask is, for the love of God, someone bring me a coffee or a Red Bull or something to keep me going, or you might watch me die, like legitimately die.
You know, I really enjoyed that, but I really thought the ending to that was going to be, please, for the love of God, leave me alone all day.
I thought that was where he's going.
I mean, I might seem a little.
Talk to me.
I might seem a little cranky, right? But if you see me, feel free to come up and say hi. But
yes.
Before you say hi, like before we have any interaction, I'm gonna need you to give me like a coffee or a Red Bull or something.
It's gonna be see Kyle, obtain Red Bull, walk up to Kyle, hand Kyle a Red Bull. Hi Kyle, I listened to the podcast.
Yeah. After we make that exchange, I would be more than happy to talk to you about whatever you want to talk about.
Oh, and listen, goodness. I mean, if you're really feeling generous, I'll take whatever the hell you got to, because I'm gonna be tired too.
Honestly, thinking about it right now, oh my God, I'm gonna be dragging.
See you at 6:15, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. And no, for real though, like obviously what Kyle said, that was great. If you do see us in the park and see Evan and I or Kyle or whatever, feel free to say hi to us, and we'll take a picture with you guys, and
I'm assuming
just don't be weird about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming for the most part, if you find one of us, the other two are probably going to be pretty close by. Yeah,
unless Kyle's completely gone at the bar.
If you see me slumped over in my bar stool at the Grand Pavilion, or taking a nap in the barnyard, well then Carson and Evan probably aren't by. But if I'm alert and I'm up and I'm awake, chances are we're gonna probably be together.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun time. CoasterMania is a freaking blast. It's going to be even cooler because I think we're going to do some stuff for the site. Kyle, we talked about a little bit about that. And we'll share those details.
Those details with me
a little bit later. You were in the group chat, so you should have saw that.
Doesn't mean I read it.
Oh well, we'll tell you after the show.
Well, speaking of the show, that's definitely running very long right now.
Oops. Yep.
Listen, last weekend was the ACE Spring Conference at Kings Island. None of us went to that, but nope. I might be going to Kings Island maybe this weekend, because normally my mom and I go for Mother's Day, but we didn't do that this year, so we might do it this weekend to check out opening on Friday, I believe. If not Friday, it opens Saturday. The Kings Island Camp Snoopy extension of Camp Planet Snoopy, including Snoopy's Soapbox Racers roller coaster that's been testing like crazy, and I believe they even let some riders ride it during the ACE Spring Conference, so it's ready to roll. So that's super exciting. Kings Island's getting that. All the other enhancements to Camp Snoopy will also open that day with the playground and the meet and greet area, and the other rides that got touch-ups, those have been open since obviously opening day. And there's going to be a nice little new food stand. I think we decided there's going to be like hot dogs, and there's going to be some like peanut butter and jelly s'mores sandwich thingy bobber. So yeah, super exciting. Always great to get a new coaster in Ohio. You know, that's working.
Another credit.
Another credit. Those Vekoma family boomerangs are a blast. I'm so excited for that. Good gravy as well at Holiday World. But yeah, that really good addition to Kings Island. I'm really excited to see the area, and so I might have a little report about it next week. We'll see if we record next week, but otherwise, if not, good luck to Kings Island with that. And yeah.
For sure. No, yeah, I was going to say, probably switching gears and closing us off here is going to be Kyle. Not talking about Cedar Point or Cedar Fair news anymore.
Not Cedar Fair, not Six Flags, not Busch, not SeaWorld.
Yeah, this came out of the blue. HHN. Kyle, are you pumped for this year? Because they're starting to announce a bunch of new houses.
In typical Kyle fashion, I'm not ready, so I need a minute.
Well, while you do that, if you guys have been listening for any length of time, you know that like we're all big Halloween Horror Nights fans. I went to my first one last year. We've had like probably 3 or 4 shows that were pretty heavily dedicated to Halloween Horror Nights. So yeah, while we focus on Cedar Fair, Halloween Horror Nights is like, that's in a league of its own. And being a theme park podcast, we gotta talk about it, right? And especially being that Kyle can throw a rock out his window and hit Velocicoaster. So, so yeah, that they announced. If you're not familiar, they do 10 new houses every single year. It's completely brand new. They might do like a second take on a previous house. They might do like, you know, blah 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 2 or blah 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 3. But so it's always a big deal when they finally start announcing houses. And Halloween Horror Nights starts actually at the end of August on Labor Day weekend's Friday, which is absolutely nuts. And this week they got rolling. They announced 3 houses so far this week, all completely original content, original stories. They're not IP based. A lot of times they usually do like half and half, like movies that are out, you know, like they might do a Five Nights at Freddy's house this year. That's kind of been talked about, or Megan, or last year they did Chucky and The Exorcist and stuff like that. So they usually do like half of those and then half just like random stories they pull out of their butt. They announced 3 of those this week. Kyle.
All right. I'm ready. A little behind the scenes. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave that in or not. Thank you for ad-libbing, but I might.
You better leave that in.
Okay. All right. I guess I'm going to leave it in then. And everyone that's listening to this.
It's all right. It's all good. We pick each other up.
I feel like that's like decent. That some people need that context.
Yeah. It's decent filler, and it works because every time I get called on this show, I'm just not ready. So. All right.
I was just staring at butterflies and
yeah.
Oh, hey Kyle, what?
Picking dandelions in left field.
No, I'm looking out my window. It's 8:43, so Epcot's fireworks are going off right now. That's what was distracting me.
Fair.
Ooh,
anyway.
Colors. All right.
Yeah, so Halloween Horror Nights at Universal, they kicked off their campaign this week by announcing 3 brand new houses. The first one is a reincarnation of another house, and that is called Slaughter Cinema 2. Now, if you know anything about Halloween Horror Nights, if you've a fan in the past, if you've been to past events, you might remember the original house, Slaughter Cinema, which was in 2019 for Halloween Horror Nights 29. And basically what the idea was is that you walked into a movie theater and you were actually walking into the movies. And it wasn't just one movie. There was like 5 or 6. So you'd walk into the movie theater and you could smell the popcorn and you were going through the concession stands. And you'd walk into a movie for a few scenes, and then you'd walk out back into the lobby, and then you'd go back into a movie, and like that's the general theme of how the house went. So this house is Slaughter Cinema 2, and it reads, if you're dying for a B-movie horror marathon, head to the Carrie Drive-In. Scream through scenes from creature features, grindhouse gore, spaghetti westerns, and more. So another little fun Easter egg is Carrie Drive-In. Now, most people listening to this podcast are based in Ohio, and you might think, Carrie, well, that's the name of a town that I'm near. Well, fun fact, Halloween Horror Nights has had numerous callbacks to the small town of Cary, Ohio. If I remember right, one of the Halloween Horror Nights lead creative directors is actually from Cary, Ohio. So every few years there's a house that's based on Cary, Ohio.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a really cool little Easter egg.
Yeah.
And Cary, Ohio, just for those who are curious, is quite literally about as middle of nowhere as you can get. It's what is that? Southeast of Findlay.
Yeah, it's
probably 25 miles.
It's 20 minutes away from my hometown of Tiffin.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, it's out in we'll just say Western Ohio.
Yeah. All right. So that is Slaughter Cinema 2. I'm very excited. The original Slaughter Cinema is in my top 5 houses of all time for Halloween Horror Nights. And I know there's people that have been going a lot longer than I have, but in my tenure of going to the event, I have seen over 70 different HHN houses, and that one ranks within the top 5 of all time. So that's saying a lot. I have really high expectations for this house.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it.
I'm right with you on how many houses I've seen, I guess, and no, I'm super pumped about this when I saw that. So,
all right. So moving on to the second announcement of the week. This one is called Goblin's Feast, and it reads, "Welcome to the Goblin's Feast Tavern, and visit the Goblin Village where a lavish feast is being prepared for goblins, orcs, hobgoblins, and witches, and you're the main course." Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I think this one I'm more looking forward to the set design more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a really good opportunity for swampy cool stuff there. So
yep.
I feel like maybe they could possibly use some of the set that they used for Yeti. Maybe I kind of feel maybe around in that area. I don't know where it's going to be at yet, but maybe.
Yeah. All right. And then rounding out what we know so far is the third announcement, and that is Major Sweets Candy Factory. You've been invited to chaperone a field trip to a candy factory, but this sweet tour is about to turn sour when free samples transform the kids into candy-coated killers wielding sharpened candies.
This one just sounds like it's going to be funny, and I'm really excited for it.
Carson, does this one sound familiar to you? It should.
I'm trying to think.
This was a scare zone 2 years ago. This was the Mummy scare zone 2 years ago. The one right in front of Mummy.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
In 2022, this was the big scare zone in the front of the park.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think that will be really cool because that was one of my favorite scare zones when we went through it. It was so good, and hopefully we'll see some of the, the characters that we got to see in that scare zone and everything maybe make an appearance in there and stuff. So,
I'm really excited for HHN. I don't feel like I should be wishing that it was already time for HHN because it's May, but oh my God, I can't wait. I really, really can't wait. I am so excited. I'm a little shocked that we haven't gotten our first IP announcement of the year yet, because normally they kick off with an IP announcement.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
right.
The fact
what do you think? Just really spitballing. What do you think is going to be the first IP house? Do you think they're going to announce?
Honestly, I think it's going to be Five Nights at Freddy's.
That's what I was thinking. Yep. I really do. Because, that's a Universal movie, is it not?
It's Blumhouse, yeah.
So, yeah. it just makes sense to continue on that story.
I feel like Ghostbusters is high on that list, too.
Ooh, that would be a good one, too.
The Ghostbusters house from 2019 is also kind of up in my top 5. That was a really good house.
I didn't even realize they've done a Ghostbusters house before.
Yeah, they did one a few years ago. It was based on the original movie, like the OG Ghostbusters.
That was it. That was good. Or, well, I was going to say maybe they'll have Stranger Things, but we haven't gotten the last season of that. So no, maybe maybe next year. But yeah, so I don't think Stranger Things.
I'm really kind of scratching my head at what properties they're going to go with this year.
Megan, maybe they could do Megan, because I mean, you saw how huge of a success that was with the random Megan sightings all over.
I
Universal
feel like
next year.
I don't know if this is a this year house or if this is a next year or a couple years down the road, but at some point they have to do a Last of Us Part 2, right?
Yeah, once Last of Us 2 comes out.
Yeah.
Once the show comes out, probably. Even though the house was more based on the video game, and they'll wait till the show comes out.
One thing that I've heard rumors about, I've heard whispers, and I'm really hoping it's true, is a second iteration of The Weeknd.
I did hear that.
I would like that too, because I didn't, obviously, being that last year was my first one. I didn't get to do the Weeknd house.
That was such a good house.
Stupid, dumb, stupid house. When it got announced, I was like, why? This doesn't belong at Horror Nights. This is terrible. It's going to be the worst house ever. I was just hemming and hawing about I was going to be awful. I went through it, and I was like, that's a sleeper hit. That might be my favorite house of the year. It didn't end up being my favorite house of the year, but it was damn close.
We went through
that.
It was
up there.
Probably the most when we were down there.
What was really fun, too, was when you went through it after about 10, 11 at night, when everyone had a few Blinky Cup drinks in them, and the line just turned into like a party. Oh, that was cool.
They would just play the Weeknd music and just...
Similar vibe to Ghostbusters. I don't know if you remember, Karsten, but... they would play like the original Ghostbusters theme song in that queue. Yeah, that one right there. And when that came on, everybody would just be like bumping and bouncing and like singing along.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Horror Nights. Man, I'm so excited.
Here's something crazy. This is just me just thinking off the wall, and it's not IP or anything, but what if they come out with a house with Bill and Ted resurrected or something, but like something went wrong and Bill and Ted are like,
could they get away with that though?
Zombies.
Could they?
Yeah,
they get away with anything.
Yeah, they can.
Because wasn't Bill and Ted kind of like, we gotta axe them?
Well, the thing is, it depends on the show. Yes, the show was very edgy. I loved the show, but I don't know.
I will never forgive, as much as I love Horror Nights, I will never forgive Halloween Horror Nights for getting rid of that show. Like, I get you have to go to Horror Nights for the houses, but I started going to Horror Nights because of that show. Yeah, it was so good. Oh my god! And
what, Nightmare Fuel replaced that?
Yeah, dumb show, stupid show. I'll go on record, right? The pass that I get, I always get the Frequent Fear Plus with Express, so I can get every night except the middle Saturdays. Like, I can get opening Saturday and closing Saturday, but none in between. If it comes out that there's I know this is a super long shot, which is why I feel comfortable saying this, but if there's a Bill and Ted house, I will buy the most expensive pass I can buy, and I will shell out for one of those RIP tours, where I can round up like 6 or 7 people. I'm just going to tell the tour guide I just want to go through that house all night.
You're just going to buy an RIP tour for yourself and nobody else.
Literally.
Well, he'll invite other people, but they'll be like, Kyle, can we go through the... No, Bill and Ted.
Yep. No, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what IPs we come out with, but lucky for us, we have an entire summer of announcements and speculation and planning before we have to think about it, before we know the full lineup.
It's true.
I'm excited.
I want summer though. Don't skip summer.
I'm not wishing summer away. We have some fun planned this summer. I know I'm going back to Cedar Point and Kings Island in July later on. And then it sounds like we're going to be hitting up Busch Gardens and Kings Dominion later as a group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm very excited for this summer.
Yes, absolutely. Can't wait.
Hopefully Topville 2 will get the notice and open up.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap things up this week. Be sure to tune in next week when we'll be back talking about everything that there is to talk about Cedar Fair and Cedar Point. That's all I got.
Yeah. Fun episode. I really got nothing this week. Just excited to actually be back for the first time in like a month. And see y'all at CoasterMania.
And Evan always says he has nothing, but then he always comes up with something. But anyway, make sure you share this podcast with all your friends and your followers. And we love you guys. Thanks for listening.
All right. That's going to do it for this week. Take it away, Justin.
Thank you for listening to the Rundown on Fun. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay up to date on all things Cedar Fair. As always, be kind to your ride operators, and we will see you on the Midway. Good night.